Hello and welcome to Lockdown Economy Nepal, a local edition of a social nonprofit initiative to help small businesses and self-employed professionals overcome the challenges of the pandemic. In Nepal, it is being done in collaboration with NYEF Kathmandu chapter, a membership-based nonprofit organization dedicated to create outstanding entrepreneurs, and AlterContacts, a global think tank for sustainable development based in Amsterdam. My name is Susan Lal Manandar, host of the interview series, and I'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us for this session. Today, my guest is Miss Lorina Sthapit, who is the co-founder of Aujees. Hello, Lorina. How are you?
Hi, Sujan. I'm good, and thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here. And today, we're going to talk about a very unique organization and what it went through during the lockdown. But before we get into the lockdown economy discussion, please introduce us to Aujees.
Sure. So, Aujees is a social enterprise based in Kathmandu. And what we do is we work with our elders to help them live a very happy and healthy life. We basically empower them to achieve that. So, we have three objectives. First one is we help them to make marketable products because turns out, all these elders in that generation have unique skills that can be put in use to make products. Because this generation, we're very proud, and we sort of take DIY as a very fascinating concept, but our elders were the real DIY pioneers, right? Because back then things were not readily available in the market. So yeah, we help them to make these products, and all these products have very unique traditional and cultural values. So we preserve that too, and this is a source of income for them. Second, we try to help them bridge the gap between the younger generation. We do that by doing workshops with them for skill transfer, or just have an opportunity for the generations to interact, have dialogue, learn from each other. And we also sort of help them to be more interested in the elders and their interests and their skills and everything, and vice versa. And third one is another big part of Aujees is we document the life stories of our elders. So this is the intangible heritage that we call, that we preserve, document the legacy of the elders through our podcasts, through our blogs, our videos. Yeah, so that's basically what we do at Aujees.
Perfect. And how do you work in a team, and how do you work with your makers?
So we have a very small team right now. So it's me and my husband, Prusarth, and my sister, Irina. We're the core team, and we also have some interns and a few other people who support us in our operations and other things. And apart from them, that we have makers, the elderly makers, who we work with. I think we've about now 30 or even more makers across Kathmandu Valley. Some are beyond Kathmandu Valley, but mostly within Kathmandu Valley. And those are our team basically. But beyond the makers, we also have the podcast guests who are not necessarily makers. And we also have instructors that we bring in when the elderly instructors, when we have these workshops, skill training sessions. And we also have something called #AskAnAji campaign, where people around the world can ask questions, and we have a team of elders, not team, basically elders who are in the community or who would want to answer. So, and many more as our members in the followers on our Facebook page. So it's a very diverse team, I'd say.
Great. And Lorina, we had a chat about Aujees and this interview series yesterday, and I brought up your YouTube banner, which read extraordinary and inspiring stories from our elders. And I told you how I connected with, during the load shedding time in Nepal, when there was no light and there would be one candle and all the children would gather around and the elders would tell their stories. And then to watch your videos on YouTube, and these stories are more than just fantasy stories or ghost stories. These stories are about these elders being empowered at this stage in their life, and that is extraordinary in itself. So what was your inspiration behind starting Aujees?
So behind starting the whole brand, the thing Aujees was my own grandmother, Champa Devi Tuladar. And the reason was because I saw, I've always, I grew up watching her knit these special socks and her other knit products. But I saw that she was very interested, very passionate about knitting, and also that gave her a sense of purpose, and she would forget her physical pains or even other worldly pains or stress. So I thought, why not I help her like sell these to others, because it would just pile up at home and she would just distribute them to our friends and family, right? So that's how the concept started, and then we reached out to other elderly makers in the community, and our community grew. Well, the podcast has another story. So what happened was that whenever we go to meet these elders, everybody, as you can relate, I'm sure, all our elders, our grandparents, Hadurama, Hadurba, they have stories. They're very excited and happy to share their life stories, right? And like you rightly said, and like our banner rightly says, they have very extraordinary and inspiring stories, very unlike our generation, because all the struggles, or even, for example, the first podcast is my own Baja, my own grandfather, because I grew up listening to his story of how he traveled to Lhasa and back, and it took a month, and all the difficulties he had during the travel, and also this is the story. So that's how the idea of podcast came, because we thought, okay, the elders want to share their stories, and these are very important stories that the younger generation need to listen to and seek inspiration from and learn from, and basically take pride in as well, and learn the stories and the roots behind how we are today. So that's how the concept of Aujees and the podcast came.
And what has the journey been like since the inception of Aujees? How was your organization performing before 2020, before the pandemic?
Well, it's been it hasn't been that long. It's only been a little over 2 years, and like I mentioned to you yesterday, I started with one sock and a photo on Facebook. That's how it started, and for quite some time it was informal like that. We didn't really go out to make a brand or anything, and the concept was not to make a brand or a business. It started as a concept to help my own grandmother be valued for her skills, and also help. So that's how it started. So from one sock to now, I'd say it's a big leap. I mean, it's a big, important journey we've made. And before pandemic, it was good. We were being recognized in national media, and people were gradually starting to see what we do and understand our work, because it's a kind of a unique concept and brand, and it took some time for people in general to understand what. I think I'm back.
Oh yeah. All right. Perfect.
But I don't know how much you heard, and where do I have to start from?
We're talking about you just mentioned how you made a giant leap from a first Facebook post to now what it is now.
Right. Yeah. And then we were slowly being recognized for our work in the media, and people were slowly starting to understand what we do, because it's a new concept altogether, and it's a very innovative new concept, and it took a while for people to understand what we actually do and the social cause behind it. So it was going well, we were picking up, and then the pandemic happened. And for many months during the lockdown, we didn't make any sale. It was zero, and it's true for all other small or even big businesses, right? Enterprises. So that was a big hit for us, because it was not just our sales, but it's directly linked to the income of the elders, right? So that was a big hit, and we had few retail partners, and so we sort of decided we'll go online, take everything online. So we made a few changes, but what we did during the pandemic was we tried to come up with new ideas. So we did some campaigns, and am I answering your question, or am I going overboard?
So yeah, let me just pick up on what you were saying there regarding the problems you faced during the lockdown. What did you go through? What kind of problems did the lockdown bring in your organization?
We had quite a few problems actually because, like I said, the first one is zero sales because we couldn't make any sales. And, there was a time when the government allowed some essential products to be delivered. We tried very hard to get that pass, but turns out many of our products are not considered essential. It was under the non-essential ones, but although we think all our products are very, very essential, so we were not able to deliver. But well, we got few orders during the lockdown, which we delivered after the lockdown. But of course, it was a big hit on our whole yeah business. So that's one. And the second one is because to be able to record our podcasts, we have to do it in person, right, and in a studio. So that was a big challenge for us. We were trying to think, because that's something we want to do it in a very good setting, and you have to do it in person, yeah, that was a big problem for us, but we came up with some alternatives.
And when the pandemic started, did you try to reach out to your clients? Did they try to reach out to you? And what response did you have for them? And also your makers, because they're a big part of the organization, of course. So what was their question and what was your response during that time?
um because we work with elders, right, it's a very they're a very sensitive and the most vulnerable group in this situation, right? So it was very important for us to make sure that their health and well-being was good, right? And so we reached out to them, of course, and to check on them, their health and all. But of course, without the sales, we were not able to make any sales for them. However, we try to do other things. For example, we started a campaign about what is your grandparent doing during the lockdown, and that was very popular. We received many messages, pictures, videos from people across Nepal, and we did that campaign for a bit. And we also did some videos where we asked the young people, the kids and the grandkids, to interview their grandparents or take the videos, and we compiled them and published podcasts and videos, which are on our YouTube page. So these are some things that we did, and we also try to focus on how we can improve the products and also our online presence, so that we're able to make more deliveries or get more sales once the pandemic or the lockdown was lifted. So these were the things that we did.
So yeah, these were the strategies you implemented during the lockdown. Were there any strategies that you tried that did not work out for you during the time?
Yes, the one that I mentioned about the delivery during lockdown. Although the government had some provisions for essential goods, not many products are under essential goods, and it was very difficult for us to get that pass, to deliver our products. So that didn't work out. So I think that, yeah, and the in-person podcast didn't work out. But apart from that, yeah, I can't think anything else right now.
All right. So among the strategies that did work out for your organization, how did they help you cope during the pandemic?
I think for us, I think I'll answer this question in a different way. What we realized was some of our makers were more creative during the pandemic, because we have some makers who like to experiment with the products that they make, right? So it was good to see that they came up with new designs or new product ideas. So that was interesting, because it was like they were more creative. And for us also, it gave us an opportunity to think beyond what we were doing. Now we had to sort of change our strategy, or think harder about how we're going to do this, because our podcast was really catching up. And it was really, really getting attention from people, and people were starting to really like it. So there was no way we could, just stop our podcast right there, right? So we had to think about alternatives and how we would continue that. So it sort of gave us more push to be more innovative, or even like, yeah, it was a challenge.
All right. And in Nepal, we went through 2 lockdowns. And right now, the lockdown has been eased. There are still a lot of restrictions. How is your organization performing in this situation?
Like right now, you mean?
Yes. Yes, right
Okay.
now.
Yeah. So it's slowly getting better, I must say. We're slowly catching up, but I don't think. It's going to be a long time. It's going to take a long time for us to catch up on all those losses and all those, zero sales and all. But we're slowly gaining our momentum. We have new products now. We have new products in the pipeline. We have new makers in the pipeline, and interestingly, we've been getting a lot of media attention. And because recently our story and video was covered by AFP, and then from there a lot of international media. So many international media picked it up, including South China Morning Post and the Economic Times, and many more news. So, and even national news like Himalayan Times, Aujees, and all. So that has really helped us, because we're getting so many inbound messages, and our brand is being recognized, our work is being recognized. So I think it's looking good. But just to compare it before lockdown, or even to say how to sort of catch up on what we lost during the lockdown, that's going to take some time.
That's fantastic that you're getting this recognition during this time. It's really helpful for the organization, of course. And because we also talked about this yesterday, the future is so uncertain right now. Organizations cannot plan for a long period of time. So what is the outlook for Aujees for the coming months?
Oh, yes, it is very uncertain, and given that we work with elders, who are the most vulnerable group for COVID-19, we cannot have ambitious goals right now, because the most important thing is their health, right? So we can't be making ambitious goals because of their the priorities. But we, of course, in the coming months, see more products being introduced to the market from our side, and also bring in new makers who are in pipeline. And hopefully more sales, and hopefully more media attention. But yeah.
Great. And this is my final question to you, Lorina. If there's 3 things in your business that you need help with, what would they be?
3 things, right? The first thing would be, we need more patrons. We have our patron page. I'm going to say it here. I hope I can. It's Patreon, patreon.com/Aujees, AJIS. So we need more and more patrons to support our work. That's one. And the second is, of course, more sales and recognition. And by recognition, I would like to clarify that we want people to understand the importance and the value of the work that our elders do, and the skills and the craft and the stories that they have. And the third one, well, I would say is for the government of Nepal to recognize startups and social enterprises like Aujees, to have maybe more targeted policies, or targeted procedures, which are not as difficult as it's right now. It's very complicated, I must say. So it's only fair for startups like us to have a little bit more flexibility, and for the government to recognize that, and the importance of startups and the social enterprises like ours, to be more encouraging and flexible towards them. So these are the 3 things.
Great. So I hope that this interview itself is helpful to you to get the word out and accomplish all those things you just mentioned right now. So I would recommend all our viewers to check out the links of Aujees. We'll keep them in the description. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lorina. Thank you for coming on the interview series and sharing us your insights. It's been a fun conversation.
Thank you very much, Susan. And thanks to NYEF. Thanks.
Thank you again, Lorina, and thank you to everyone who joined us for this session. If you have any questions for Lorina, you can find her contact in the description or leave a comment in this video. I invite you to like this video, share with your friends, and follow our page, the NYF Kathmandu Chapter Facebook page. A recording of this video will be present in the AlterContacts YouTube channel, so please subscribe to our channel. There are playlists of videos where entrepreneurs and small business owners from different parts of the world have shared us their insights. We'll have many more interviews like this in the upcoming weeks. Stay tuned, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.